Hi guys, Arthur here from Homeowner DIY. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to install a laundry tub. So a laundry tub is essentially it's a laundry sink. Now this is the same commercial unit that I did the cabinet install. So guys, once again, the disclaimer is the plumbing that I do here, this is not to code, this is what the tenant wanted. He wanted the cheapest solution to the problem. But I mean, with every video there's always something to learn. So what we'll do now is we'll look at our setup, and then we'll do material and tools. Alright guys, this is our setup. So we have a pad here. This was the original drainage. That was for the water pipe. So guys, disregard the holes. I mean, I'll move whatever I need to, wherever I need to make this all work out. But for the most part, everything is easily accessible, so this should be a relatively simple job to do. Alright, this is our materials list. So we have a Glacier Bay laundry faucet. This is our plastic laundry tub. Those are our feet right there. So I have 3/8 compression fittings, 3/8 pipe, brass nut with the plastic washer. That will be for our 1.5" tailpiece there. I got a coupling, ABS glue, 1.5" trap, a 1.5" slip adapter, and a 45. Guys, this is what I believe I need for material for this job. So what we'll do now is the tools list. Alright, this is our tools list. So I've got my cordless kit. Cordless drill I think is all I really need. I have an arbor, 2 1/8 hole saw. For safety equipment I've got glasses, earplugs. I have my finishing kit, which has Crescent wrenches, channel locks, boxing wrenches, anything else I may need. Hacksaw, drywall saw. I have my hand tools, so measuring tape, hammer, and also not pictured, I have a light and an extension cord that is currently illuminating the room. Guys, this is what I think I need for tools on this job, so let's get started. Alright, so we have our trim plate, we have our washer, our nuts, and then we have our base plate. So this base plate has a foam gasket that's going to seal between the sink and the faucet. Now, this has 2 holes here, and then when we put it here, the holes are covered up, which means I need to drill the 2 holes for screws. So this is a 3/16 bit, and it's more than big enough. So what I'm going to do is I will drill the 2 holes for the screws to go into. Alright, so this is our plate that we're going to use. Because it has this protrusion sticking out, what I did is I just drilled this out and then I cut it out with a hacksaw blade. But because I'm going to use this here, this threaded post isn't necessary, so I'm going to take it out. If you were going to use this post, I would say just screw it in hand tight and that should be fine. So first thing we're going to do is grab our washer. So it's flat at the top and it has a vertical part. That vertical part will go into here. Okay, so that fits into the body of the faucet. Now our trim plate. And then we'll take our plastic bracket. Okay, so this will fit on like that. Now we got to get all the lines through our center hole. And it's also easier, don't put them in like side by side like this. Put one in and then put the other one in. It'll make it easier for you. Alright, just like a 2-handle faucet, we have our studs coming through. So we got our plastic nuts. Thread them on just hand tight. You don't need a wrench for the most part, because it's only plastic. Okay, so our black bracket has been tightened down. So we got our gasket, and what's going to happen is the two screws are going to go up to the body and suck this down to the plastic bracket. Okay, so we have our couple screws. These are Phillips, so they'll go through the hole. Okay, so I figured out the hard way that these screws are designed to be embedded into the bracket. So I was sitting on top of the plastic for the laundry tub, which made the screw too short, so I had to ream this out here to get it in. But this should be fine now. I don't know why they wouldn't make the screw a little bit longer, but in either case, we'll just tighten this down. Alright, so our faucet is now mounted. Alright, so we need to get our tailpiece onto this. So this is our 1.5-inch tailpiece. So we have the same type of washer. So the washer will go like that. The brass nut will come up through the bottom. So that's what it looks like. And now we'll screw it on. Alright, so we have our legs, they just fit into the grooves. And then I'll get the other two on. Alright, this is our sink, so it's sitting on our platform here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the other side, to the cabinet that I installed last week. And we are going to measure out for the drain that's going to come through this wall. Alright, so what I need to do is I need to measure the height and then the distance off the wall so we can punch a hole through the side of the cabinet. Okay, so one thing to keep in mind is this is going to be grading upwards like that. So you're not going to drill it in a straight line. You're going to drill this hole higher, so this will go up into the hole. Alright, this is our hole saw. It has holes in the back, and then this is our arbor. So the hole saw threads onto the arbor. This is a pilot bit. So you thread it on, and then you got these two posts here. So you get it tight or whatever lines up, and then for this design, you tighten this, and then it'll push the two rods into the middle to hold the hole saw in place. But with this ready, now we can drill the cabinet. Okay, as usual, safety glasses and earplugs. So the center of the pilot belt will go right onto our X. Alright, this is something I wasn't expecting. So here I hit a stud. Now, because I've already drilled this hole, I'm not going to move it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the hole saw. I'm going to go maybe halfway through the stud. And then I will I'll finish the cut from the other side. Alright, with the hole for the trap arm done, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a couple holes for our 3/8 water line. So I'm going to drill them higher up. Alright, so I drilled my 2 holes for our water pipe. We'll check our grade now. The grade is about 3/8 per foot, which is perfectly fine. So now I'm going to put the laundry sink back in and then we'll hook up our trap. So you can see how the trap arm winds up hitting the leg. So I've already cut this back, but this 45 is not going to fit. So I'm gonna have to cut this back a little bit more. Once again, the trap will be able to swing back and forth, which I will show you when I go to install it. But in this case here, I'm gonna have to cut this back a little bit more because in case anything ever needs to be removed, it needs to be easy to be serviceable. All right, after a bunch of cutting and readjusting, I have left 3/4 of an inch of pipe going through the wall, and then I'm going to glue the 45 on. Okay, so this is just a dry fit mock-up, but you can see where the bottom of the trap is. So what I'm going to do is we'll make a pencil mark right there. So I'll cut off the tail piece here, and then we'll set up our slip adapter with our piece, dry fit into here, and then we'll see how we can spin this to maximize the piece of pipe between the 45 and the trap. Okay, so the slip adapter I've already glued into the trap here. So with this all together, what you can do is swing your trap back and forth. And what you're trying to do is just line up the hubs to get your measurement. So that looks to be okay right about there. Alright, I glued my piece into my 90. So what I'm going to do now is glue the 90 into the 45 and then level it. So right there you can see it's level. So if I've done this correctly, the trap will just slip on without any issue. Which it does. And make sure that you wipe the joint as well. Okay, so for water, we have our stop. We come up into 3/8. This is our supply. This will go for the hot side of our laundry tub, and then this is going to our faucet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the cold, and I'll show you guys one compression joint, how to do it. Alright, so this is our hose. This is our T. So this is a compression. So what you do is you slide the nut on first, and then you take this ring. This ring is called a ferrule. So you put the ferrule on, and now you will tighten the nut back down. So what happens is that ferrule is going to get compressed downward and then outward, and that's what's going to hold on the fitting to the pipe and make it a watertight connection. So guys, this is a 100-year-old technology, compression fitting. This is nothing new. This is before Shark Bite, Pro Press, and all this other stuff. If you weren't able to solder because water was flowing through the pipe because the stop wasn't shutting off tightly, this is what you would do. But with the nut, just crank it down until it basically stops. Unfortunately, one of the drawbacks of compression is if you have a leaking joint, the ferrule is no good and it can't be fixed unless you can try to tighten it, but that's about it. Okay, so our nut has been tightened down. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do this part. Once this is on, I'm going to thread the cold onto here, and then the very last part will be the connection down to the stop. You don't want to disturb this stuff too much, because if it starts leaking, like I said, this is a one-shot deal. Alright, so for our faucet, we have a threaded connection with an O-ring. So our T, we're just going to thread it on. And then tighten it down with some channel locks. Alright, next is our quick disconnect. So line up the blue tabs here and here. Give it a pull, that's fine. Alright, the next thing we'll do is we'll put our weight. So it has two halves, and then it has the screw holes. They're just Phillips screws. The idea of the weight is just to reset the pull-out wand. Alright, so I already turned water on. So all the connections, 1, 2, 3, the top of the stop, these three, and then the other side, check those for leaks. Everything looks good on this side. We'll go do a quick check on the other side, and hopefully nothing is leaking, and we'll be pretty much done with this job. Alright, so everything is done. So these connections here need to be checked for leaks. Those seem to be fine. The wand hose, make sure that it's not getting caught by anything. This seems to be okay. That should be fine. So we have a decent amount of water inside the tub. We'll pop the sink. We'll check for any leaks. Okay, so guys, this laundry tub has no stops. You can see that there's no stops here. So that's one code violation, and the other code violation is that there's no clean out here. But like I said, this is not going to be done to code. But for the most part, everything looks okay. Alright, so that concludes this project. So I ran into an issue when I reconnected the drains for the laundry and for the vanity, where my drain was leaking, and this ate up a fair bit of time. But other than that, I thought water would be the issue, but for the most part it went fairly smoothly with the compression fittings. The time on this job, the time was about 4 hours. It was a little more tedious than I was expecting. I hit a stud that I had to drill through, and then just dealing with the leaking sink ate up a little bit of time, but I mean, for the most part, I didn't run into any significant issues. The cost of this job, the laundry tub, the faucet were customer supplied. My educated guess on this will be $300 for all the material. Guys, like I said, this is not done to code. This is what the tenant wanted. It will work. Hopefully there won't be any issues in the future. If I do have to make changes and separately vent the laundry tub, then I will go ahead and do that at a future date. But like I said, this is not to code. I don't see why it wouldn't work, but it's not to code. This does not allow what has been done here. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. I hope something here is going to help you on your project when you need to go ahead and do that. Guys, till next time, please hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next project.